This current textured plaster wall finish I had done well over 15 years ago. This section, which is pretty beat up from my heavy artwork I've patched up and sectioned off to create a faux wood paneling. I want nice, beefy, fat panels of wood here. So I taped off my section, and I just started with my base coat, in which I am choosing a nice dark smoky gray. I happened to find a really nice metal square decorative at an estate sale right off of a headboard, and there was 3 of them, little squares, 3 squares, and I got them and thought I would hang them on my wall, but ironically they fit perfectly into these little square windows that I had. It's almost as if it was custom made for it. So after I painted my base coat in there, I just went ahead and popped that in, and man, is it inspiring for me for this wall. So I'm measuring out, of course using a level, my wood planks. I chose to make them 9 inches in height, and they're staggered in lengths, nice long ones. I want these to look just so rich. I am framing every other plank, being that once that faux wood grain finish is complete on that particular plank, then when it dries, I'm going to have to tape over that to do the opposite plank. And that is why it looks uneven in size here, but it truly isn't. One is just the tape is laying within that plank. And on to the glaze. I am mixing a nice taupey mid-tone, grayish taupey. It's not brown, it's not gray, it's just a really nice unique color. And I'm going to also mix a light gray, almost white but not. It's a creamy light gray. And I'm mixing 50% latex paint with 50% latex glaze. This particular glaze is Ralph Lauren, and it's a little gooey, so I added a little touch of water to just thin it out to my preference. I'm using a chip brush, and here I'm starting with the lightest color, and I'm just striating this on to get a nice woody feel. This textured plaster underneath is absolutely working to my benefit. It's something I've never done for wood grain, but I am absolutely going to do this intentionally on the next faux wood grain I do. It's just so nice to have kind of that added element for a nice woody feel and look. So I'm just touching in the mid-tone here and there, and then I'm coming back in with my brush. It's unloaded, so it's not, I don't have a lot of glaze on it, but I'm kind of going over the wet glaze and getting a very light stippling over. This is giving, and this is in the show-through areas, it's giving a nice fibrous look. If you look close at wood, you have these cross patches of fiber in it. And then every so often, we're going to just kind of add a little wood knot. I just twist my brush to get a nice circular motion going, and then you don't want it just a complete perfect circle, because with wood it's such a deep rich layer in the wood. So I'm kind of breaking it up with a little overcut and undercut of glaze to break up that circle so it's not perfect circle. And here I'm coming in with a little bit more glaze, stippling it so it's heavy. You want heavy, thin, light, back to heavy, as organic as you can make it. There's no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I just do what looks right to me, and I just kind of flow with it. I'll stand back and look at it and add a little here and there. I've got 2 sizes of chip brushes, and these are so beat up and old you can tell they're rusty. But what I was showing you here was the bristles are just so missing some, broken up, but that's good because there's no pattern of striae. It makes it nice and organic. Again, some bristles are closer, giving me thin lines. Those that are farther apart gives me thick. And to get a real woody feel, you're just going to keep layering over and over and over. You don't want, wood is not flat. There's deep, rich layers in wood and in any stone element like marble and granite that gives it, it's just that real earthy effect of layers. I had a smaller brush there that I'm just doing fine details with. But here again, you can see I keep wanting to add a little more of those little fibers. And it's a 45-degree angle I hold my brush. It's very helpful to know that. And just kind of tap it on there. I call this stippling, but you're just kind of tapping it on there. And some I am having a heavier load with some glaze. You can see there it comes out darker, but I don't just leave it dashy looking. I do kind of just fluff over it to smear some of it. And again, that glaze is layered and just gives you some nice depth to that wood. Once you finish your wood panel, you're going to want to remove the tape before it dries. And the reason for this is if that glaze dries with the tape there, you may very well pull some of that finish off your wood plank as you're pulling that tape off. So pull it off while it's wet and let it dry after the tape's off. You'll move on to your next panel. You can see I'm reusing tape also. I'm very frugal like that. So coming on to my next panel, I'm going to get a little more daring, as you'll find as you start working on a finish and technique. You kind of figure things out as you go. And as long as I've been doing this, I still get in the groove and just start, you know, getting more daring. And I'm striating and stippling and mixing my colors a little bit more layered at once than doing a full striate, coming back over with another layer. I'm just kind of doing it all at once here, alternating between brushes, alternating between colors. And again, there's no rules. It's just what is looking good to you. So I'm not even looking at a piece of wood for this because I've done so many wood grains that I just kind of flow with it. But if you're not comfortable, by all means, take a couple chunks of wood and lay them next to you and really look at it and study it and mimic it. But I'm feeling really good with this by this time. I don't know how many planks I've done, but each one gets a little better and better, so it's good that I stagger them around. That way it's, you know, very organic in nature rather than it being real smooth and then building up in interest as the wall progresses. It's nice and staggered. Same thing, striate, stipple, fluff it out, switch colors, striate, stipple, smooth it out. I'll add knots here and there, but don't overkill on the knots. I really like the way it looks when you get a couple layers in there. I did a light, then the gray and darker mid-tone gray, and then came back in with some light over that. Just gives it depth, nice, rich depth. Nothing worse, looks more fake than a flat wood grain or flat marble, flat travertine. You want nice, rich layers of color that give it depth, how it would be in nature. So once your alternating panels are dry, you're going to tape over them to work on the next panel. I'm intentionally leaving about, oh goodness, I didn't measure it, but I'd say about 1/8 of an inch of the dark base paint as a nice seam between my panels to help define them. And I really like the way that looks. It just, you can do a seamless one too, and that's very beautiful. But this is a little bit of a rusticy look that I'm going for, so I'm leaving that nice seam. So again, I am coming in, striating, stippling, knot hole here and there. This one is heavy on the glaze. So I'm coming in with a dry, stiff, clean brush, and just, you can see how I swirled it on there and just scraped off some of that heavy glaze. And it just makes it look nice layers in the wood, that, you know, how you get those wood circles. And I like it. It definitely made it more authentic looking. So stippling, heavy and lighter, and fluffing over it, and coming in with some striations, and just organically placing this. There is, again, no rules. I'm intentionally coming in with some dark, you will see, around that knot hole and underneath the top little layer of wood that is obscuring the knot hole. And that's just going to give it, again, you can see a little more depth. And these long planks, you're going to want to really pay attention to not have a start and stop area where I'm merging this. I am completely layering over those merges so it doesn't show where I obviously finished one little corner and now I'm on the midsection. I want it all to blend and look like one continuous flow of a wood panel. So you'll see as I'm carrying this down to that edge, normally I would make the edge where the cutoff of this wood is merging into the other existing wall. I would do a trompe l'oeil edge where it looks 3D. I would come in and shadow that, make it drop shadow it so it looks like those wood planks are relieved. But I'm working alone here today, and that heavy bookshelf is honestly in the way. I cannot move it by myself, so I just left it. And this is my personal home, so I don't really even care. I'm just leaving it there and kind of painting a little bit behind the wood shelf, and just knowing that at some point in my life, I will, if I ever move those shelves, then I'm going to get in there and finish off those edges. But for now, I'm just doing what I can do. We're nearing the end here, and I'm really pleased. You can see how the color is staggered. Some planks are much lighter, dominating to the lighter glaze, and then others with a heavier mid-tone. It's just so beautiful and organic in nature, and this was just such a joy to do. This project was fun, I have to say. Now, some of these spaces in between are a little thick. So I'm going to come in, and this is just a plastic, I don't know what you call this. I use this in many different art forms to sharpen up a line or whatnot, but in different techniques. But I'm just, any sharp edge will do, or stiff edge that you just lay over there, and kind of paint over somewhere you feel like that line is just too thick, that it's jumping out at you. You don't want that. You want it to just define your wall plank. So I'm just, going in and just kind of running the glaze over it and thinning that line out here and there. It's as simple as that. I mean, that's the final touch, and we're done. Look at how stunning this wall is. Notice the base molding and that wall plate there. It is finished. Always, always pay attention to those finishing touches. And I have to say, those nice little window decoratives really polished this off. That was just such a wonderful opportunity that just kind of, what a gift, just kind of appeared and happened to work out perfectly. But quite pleased. This is a stunning, stunning wall finish.